What's up guys, Eli here, back for another new stuff video. I have yet another giant stack of stuff to show you. I know it's ridiculous, but it's the life that I lead for some reason. So let's get started, guys, huh? It's a pretty big stack. You might be thinking, damn dude, you're putting yourself in debt to collect all this music, but this is all stuff that I got pretty cheap, if not just super reasonably priced. So we're going to start off with this from 2021 Very Best of Geezer Butler compilation. This has basically, okay, first of all, I've never heard of any of Geezer's solo stuff, ever. Not until recently. I've only heard a little, but this is, he had several solo projects, all with slightly different names, but most of them were the same. What this doesn't have on here was the Geezer Butler Band, which he had a Geezer Butler Band demo in the early to mid 80s, which was actually really cool. It was like a new wave of British heavy metal project. He had the Carl Sentence, I think his name was, from Persian Risk on vocals. That demo was super awesome. I think that needs to be re-released on, you know, some, at least a CD or something. But this is more of like, just from what I've read, I haven't listened to this yet, but it's more modern metal. Like some of it has Burton Bell from Fear Factory on vocals, and some of it's kind of new metalish from what I've read, but I can't say anything from my point of view just yet, but I love Geezer. I'm a massive Black Sabbath fan, lifelong Black Sabbath fan, so I think I paid $1 or maybe $2 or $3 at most for this, so I figured, now's my time to check out Geezer's solo stuff that I'm probably not going to like. Then we got a couple albums from AC/DC. They were my favorite band in high school and even beyond just a little bit. They were my favorite band for a good 5 years or so. I took, I don't know, 20 years off of listening to them. I kind of wrote AC/DC off. I was like, they're, you know, one of those bands I listened to as a kid that I just don't have nostalgia for. But it turns out I do have a little nostalgia for them, specifically the Brian Johnson years. Even though I do think the Bon Scott years were, as far as quality goes, I think the Bon Scott albums were better. But for some odd reason, I just like Brian Johnson as a person, and I've been wanting to revisit the Brian Johnson albums. I have some AC/DC stuff somewhere, just CDs that I lost the cases of decades ago. I'll unearth those someday when I find out where they are. But I decided to buy, you know, because I got these used. I thought I'd pick up a couple Brian Johnson albums. From 1988, the 11th album, Blow Up Your Video. This is Brian Johnson, not that it was his fault, but the Brian Johnson era kind of had a slew of albums that were kind of not super commercially successful. This would be one of them. I don't know, I always liked it. When I was a kid, I'd listened to this one pretty often, actually. All right, what kind of songs does it have on here? Heat Seeker, Mean Streak, Go Zone, Nick of Time. It's an okay album. This is not one of the better AC/DC albums. They have way better albums than this. They wrote way better songs, but it's decent for what it is, especially if you have nostalgia for the band. And from 1995, their 13th album, Ballbreaker. I always considered this kind of an underrated album. I loved this one as a kid, man. This is AC/DC's heaviest album. This is almost like their Dehumanizer, if you were going to compare them to Black Sabbath. Not as metal, obviously, but in a hard rock way. This is a heavy hard rock album. It's maybe a little bit more modern sounding, but barely. AC/DC never sounded like a modern band. They always managed to sound like themselves, and I always have to give them credit for that. And The Führer is a really cool song. Burning Alive, Hail Caesar. There's some good songs on here. Whiskey on the Rocks, I always thought was cool. It was kind of like a Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution Part 2 title track, Ballbreaker. Heavy album, produced by Rick Rubin. That Rick, I imagine, probably pushed them in that direction. Co-produced by Mike Frazier. I think Devin Townsend worked with Mike Frazier at some point. But yeah, I'm excited to re-listen to this. Haven't heard it since I was at probably 18 at the oldest. It wants to feel right. Take the dust. Then I got a couple of thrash albums, starting with Savage Messiah. This was the second album from 2012. They formed in 2007 in England. Plague of Conscience. I've never heard their first album. I've only ever heard this. It came out on Earache Records. I remember liking this. I bought this strictly off of nostalgia. I remember this being like a really cool, at least at the time, power thrash. Kind of iced earthish. Kind of straddling the line between power metal and thrash metal. Remember them having a really good vocalist that could hit high notes and stuff like that. And we'll see. I got it fairly cheap, so we'll see if I was wrong or not. But I always thought that album cover was pretty cool. If you check it out, it's like the Pope as a vampire, and he's got he's a Nazi, I think. You can see he's like wearing a swastika armband there. At least that's, I think, what it's hinting at. Pretty cool if you ask me. And even the back kind of coincides with it. I don't know. I've never heard anyone mention them. I think they're still around. Anyone hear Savage Messiah ever at any point? And from 1993, Testament returned to Apocalyptic City. I didn't even know this existed. I've never heard of this, never seen it around for some odd reason. And I've had a lot of Testament stuff over the years. I've had 3/4 of their discography at least. This is an EP. It only has a few songs, and most of them are live. I think, what does it have? Reign of Terror, which I think... Reign of Terror? I can't remember. There are 2 songs on here that I think, maybe even just one, that are exclusive to this release. And it was a song that they did back in their demo days. I believe the rest of these are just live tracks. So, pretty cool cover art. I've never heard anyone talk about this again, so I don't know if it's at all even remotely mandatory, but I got it cheap. It looks cool. Then we have a Doom album, a newer band. This came out last year, Thy Listless Heart. Only album they've done so far. This is a solo project out of England. This guy, from what I can tell, has been in quite a few Doom bands over the years. So this is he's kind of like a Doom luminary, I guess you could say. This came out on Hammerheart Records. Hammerheart's known to put out some pretty good stuff. I've kind of been in the mood for Doom. Looked it up. Metal Archive says atmospheric Doom. Like I said, it seems like the dude's been in some kind of cult Doom bands that a lot of the serious Doom fans like. So, I figured I'd wing it, see what this guy can do. I mean, yeah, Doom album, playing everything yourself. It's pretty ballsy. Anyone heard Thy Listless Heart? Then we have a 2023 release. Have I bought any 2023 releases yet? Do you guys remember? Because I don't. But we got the new Catatonia album, Sky of No Stars. Let's just take a second and admire how nice this release is. Look at the birds are glossy. It's these digibook versions that I really like. Napalm Records. It's a nice release. I've heard really good things about this record. I like Catatonia. I like them a lot, but I mean, their modern stuff even I like. So this is a really nice release. I love these digibooks. No matter what label puts them out, everyone seems to do them right. I'm not really going to go through this, but, whatever. Haven't heard the album yet, but again, I love Catatonia, and I've been in a Catatonia mood for a while now, at least a couple of months. So this is their 13th full-length album. They formed in 1993 in Sweden, just in case you didn't know any of that stuff. I thought things would take off, but they cooled down. Then we're going to get into some prog and ambient type stuff. I'd say prog, fusion, new age, world music, kind of a blender. Start off with 2007's Prague Solaris. I've never had a Prague Solaris album before, never heard a full album at that. Heard a couple songs here and there. This is their 3rd release. They formed in 1999 in Georgia. This came out on Sensory Records, which is a subdivision, would you call it that? Subsidiary? I don't know. A sister label to Ken Golden's Laser's Edge label. Ken Golden just being a Prague genius. He's not a musician, but as far as record labels go, I mean, this guy's just, he's been a Prague fan for like 50 years. They call him the Professor of Prague. So, which is awesome, by the way. Prague Solaris, this is they are what would you call it? Instrumental, technical, progressive metal. Even like, I think I even hear a little bit of jazz fusion on this here and there, like the second track. So far, that's kind of what I'm gathering, but it's really cool, man. It's just a group of guys that are masterful musicians making instrumental music, and it's great to listen to. I had to get the Blood Incantation release from last year. This is an EP, Time Wave Zero it is called. Yeah, it came out on Century Media Records. I bought this deluxe edition, which was completely unnecessary because I think I paid like double. Paid like double for this. The only thing that's different is it comes with a bonus DVD. And the DVD is just a higher quality, version of, higher quality sound version of the CD. I didn't really need that, but whatever. It's a Blu-ray. I'm sure it sounds great. I just didn't need it. Anyway, why did I wait so long to get this? Probably because I've followed Blood Incantation, I wouldn't say since the beginning, but since their EP was out, so pretty close. And, of course, me, like a lot of other people, when they heard they were making an ambient album, ambient kind of electronic, whatever you want to call it, album, a lot of us were just like, I don't need that. I'm not, if they're not playing death metal, I don't care. But, I thought about it. They love Tangerine Dream, so I figured, and I love Tangerine Dream, so if this sounds kind of like Tangerine Dream, I'm okay with that. And I want to support these guys, ballsy move for them, and even the record label, to let them just kind of do what they want. We're a successful death metal band, we're going to go make an ambient album that probably isn't going to be super popular, among the death metal fans. So I bought it. Again, I want to support these guys, and I've actually heard it's a pretty damn good release anyway. So, has anyone heard Time Wave Zero by Blood Incantation? You might have seen me shown this already. Alchemist came out in 2005. This is a compilation. So Alchemist formed in 1987 in Australia. This is an awesome release. If you've never heard Alchemist, this is where you might want to start, because you can still get this pretty cheap. Came out on Relapse Records. So what this has, it's got a lot of stuff, by the way. I think it's 2 discs. Yes, it's 2 discs. And what we have here, we have stuff from... I just kind of want to make this easy. Let's open this up, because first of all, this is a pretty nice release. I'm going to pull the booklet out. It's got a ton of liner notes, and I like how it has this cool page here where it shows stuff that you're getting here. You're getting the demo from 1990, the 91 demo, the Jar of Kingdom full length, the Promo 94, right? Yeah, Promo 94, Lunasphere full length, Speartech full length, and the Eve of the War EP. You're getting all that in here. So this is 75-80% of their discography. You can get this on Discogs for under $10. Alchemist, I've talked about them here before. They are at least they started off as more of like a progressive, atmospheric, experimental type death metal. They kind of shed the death metal about halfway through their career and just kind of became a weird prog metal rock, experimental everything type band, but really, really good, completely unique. They don't sound like anyone. Nobody sounds like them. I think it's awesome. And then since I've been waiting for the new waiting impatiently at that. For the new Peter Gabriel album that's supposed to come out this year, I got this 2002 soundtrack that he did, because he's done numerous soundtracks. This one is called The Long Walk Home, music from The Rabbit Proof Fence. I believe it's an Australian movie, kind of an art house movie. Could even be a documentary. Please don't quote me on that. If you know anything about the film, please let me know. Got this on Discogs for like maybe $1 or $2. Came out on Peter's label. Had to get it. At some point, I need everything that Peter's ever put his name on. And I have a lot of his stuff. I have most of his stuff, but I need fucking all of it. And because I absolutely love Enya, I had to get her 6th album from 2005. Can you believe up to 2005 she'd only done 6 albums? That's what I love about her, is she doesn't rush her work. She didn't put out an album every year. She did like an album every 6 or 7 years, and that's more than enough. Sure, she could have made way more money by just cranking them out every year or two. What the fuck is in here? I got this at a thrift store. So in here, for some reason, the Watermark CD. I already have Watermark. If anyone needs a Watermark CD with no case, it's yours. Anyways, Amaranth, or Amarantine. I don't know what it's called. I've never heard this. Has anyone heard this album? If you're an Enya fan, where would you place this? Is it good? Does it stack up to her earlier work? Because I really love her first 3 albums. My first ever purchase from Al Di Meola came out in 1990. This is his 11th album, World Sinfonia. Now, I got home and played this, I think the night that I bought it. First song, pretty good, but it's all acoustic. And I go, okay, there's nothing wrong with doing an acoustic intro, right? I keep playing it. They're all acoustic songs. And this is a purely acoustic album. And I'm not huge on acoustic albums, but I gotta say, this album is phenomenal. This is probably the coolest acoustic album I have ever heard. I've never, I'm not going to be able to describe it, so don't give your hopes up. Just go listen to it. If you like forward thinking and very creative guitar music, and not only guitar. I mean, there's other, Al's a guitar player, but there's all kinds of top-notch musicians on this. It's a full band effort. But it's acoustic, and I didn't see that coming. But like I said, this is probably the best acoustic album I've ever heard. Never heard anything like it. It's awesome. From 1992, also picked up this Jan Hammer 15th album. Jan Hammer was a keyboard player in Mahavishnu Orchestra, who I'm a fan of. I guess this is a soundtrack to something. I don't know. I've never heard any of his solo work. I just love Mahavishnu. And I saw his name, and I'm like, I'm going to buy that for $1. So, yeah, it's a soundtrack to something. I think it's either a jazz or a jazz fusion type release. Anyone into Jan Hammer's solo stuff, let me know. This is called Beyond the Mind's Eye, by the way, since I'm failing to say the album titles on most of these. Had to get this. Never owned it. Pink Floyd, 11th album from 1979, The Motherfucking Wall. Now, I've been a Pink Floyd fan for almost 25 years, but I only have maybe like a quarter of their discography. I had never really paid a whole lot of attention to The Wall until recent years. Yeah, I'd heard it. I think I was burnt out by hearing the radio singles as a kid, constantly, and you still hear them, and that's fine. But this, so I kind of wrote this album off. I was always a Dark Side of the Moon guy, Wish You Were Here, and Metal, and a couple others. This is a great fucking album. This is absolutely a monumentally classic album. I'm an idiot for writing it off as a whole for this long. I should have owned this decades ago, but whatever. I have it now, and I'm real happy to, I'm excited to give it more listens. Go to the show. And the last thing we're going to be showing for the night is the Elements, King Crimson. This is the 2020 tour box, it's called. Now, these were originally made to sell on tour. However, I think they just sold so well that they were like, fuck it, let's sell these to everybody. These are cool. These are really cool. They made one every year. I don't know when they started or where they ended. Are they going? I know there's at least a 2021, 2022. I think all the way up through at least 2020. At least through 2022. There's at least 3 or 4 of these. How they differ, I'm not sure, and I'm kind of confused on the whole concept behind these. Because basically they go back to the beginning of the band, and they go up until whatever year it is, in this case 2020. And it's just a whole bunch of like unreleased stuff, rare recordings. Like there's some alternative mixes, some extracts, songs that you've heard before but with different singers. Like you got In the Wake of Poseidon with Greg Lake on vocals instead of John. Who sings on In the Wake of Poseidon? I thought Greg Lake was on that album. I'm probably wrong. Anyways, so there's just all kinds of cool stuff. There's some live tracks, live versions of certain songs that you've never heard before. My personal favorite, it's got a really cool live Easy Money, which I love that song. Easy Money, amazing. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's got 2 discs and an incredibly nice booklet. Kind of highlights Bill Rifkin's death. I guess he died, Riflin. He died in 2020, so I think he died right before this came out or something like that. Sometime before it came out. It says he died in 2020, so R.I.P. Bill. And there's just all kinds of cool stuff here. It's a complex set, just like the music of King Crimson. What can I say? But I have listened to the entire thing. I'll say that much. And it's awesome. And this wasn't too bad on the price. I think it was $20, 20 to 22, somewhere in there. Worth it, right? 2 discs, absolutely worth it. But even shows the tour that they went on, or that they were supposed to go on in 2020. I think we know why that didn't happen. It says postponed until 2021. I wonder if it even happened in 2021. I wonder if this tour ever happened. What a surprise, it's not coming to my area. But it shows all the... it's not a massive tour. It's not the smallest either. There's like 20 dates here, something like that. Anyways, guys, what do you think? That was a fucking hell of a mouthful. I need to go take a nap after that shit. That was almost too much to do in one video, but I think I pulled it off. Did I pull it off, guys? How did I do? Scale of 1 to 10, I think I did at least a 0.5, maybe a 1. But I gotta go. I gotta hit the hay. Got work in the morning. Louie's already sleeping. He's right there, but he does say hello, I assure you. He loves you guys. I love you guys. And we'll talk soon. Thanks for stopping by. Fucking cheers.